And good evening, good evening. This is Anishinabe Sober Voices. We are live in studio. We're still trying to get connected to our guest, but I have Mary Ellen and what's his name? Oh yeah, I got to get your microphone on. We're not quite ready yet, so just sit back and get some popcorn ready, and we'll get this all straightened out.
Drink some cedar tea.
Cedar tea, yes. I don't know. There was a tea that Mary Ellen served me a few years back. It was really good. Was that a cedar tea?
It was a mint.
Mint.
Holy,
Yes.
quite that hard.
Oh yeah, that's loud. Yeah, it'll turn you down a little bit.
You just broke the lenses on my glasses.
Oh my goodness. Well, how we all doing tonight? It's kind of cold if you're not in Wisconsin and you're listening to us somewhere else. It's cold out here. In fact, we actually have wind chill warnings tonight, and
I know.
Yeah,
I was yelling outside my neighbor's door this morning real early and yelled a few things, and she didn't hear me, and it wasn't until the sun came out and melted my
what? It's too loud.
melted my voice that she could hear what I was saying.
As can get. I can't hear him then.
Okay.
Not that I want to, but anyways. Oh,
what did you say about your?
What'd you say?
Oh, I was yelling at my neighbor real early this morning. It was like way below zero, and I yelled at her, and it was so cold that she couldn't hear me until the sun came out and melted my message.
He's awful tonight.
Oh dear.
I don't think there's any.
You got it?
No.
Oh, just push it up. Just push it up. It'll go. Just use your muscles. Whoa, not that high. Now she has to stand up. Oh my goodness.
You know me, I'm pretty techy.
In fact, while we're doing this, it's just you two. There. Adjusted the webcam so you can see it. If you are listening to us on the radio or streaming us live, if you're streaming us, you could join us on Facebook. We are at the WOJB Facebook page, Anishinaabe Sober Voices page, and I think WOJB YouTube page.
Wow.
We're at 3 live stations, and I got to remember to switch the camera so when I'm talking, people can see me. And well, not that they want.
Because we're on so many. Because we're on so many venues.
Yeah.
Do we have to join the union?
No, I don't think so.
Anishinabe Union.
Yeah. Oh, dear. So I don't know where we're still waiting for our guest Theta to connect. I'm messaging her now. Ooh, I'm getting a reply now. What is she saying? We'll see. Anyways, what's happening, Steve, in your world? You had a meeting? No, that was Gizo that had a meeting last night.
Yeah.
Were you at that meeting?
No, but he's having another one. Well, just getting over right now.
Oh, okay.
And then we have Tracy and I have kind of taken a path out where we're going to be doing some more traditional programming under Anishinabe Nuji Oewen, which means healing. And we're going to be doing talking circles and some other traditional things in the community to expand on the other things that are going out there to give people some more tools to put in their toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought maybe I'd wait until we had Tracy and maybe we could talk a little bit more about the details of that.
Yeah.
Maybe she can come on and we can do part of a program and
next week
talk more about that
next
time or something. Yeah. And but anyways, I'll be putting the notices out of the meetings and putting information out there. It's under Anishinabe Nuji, Nooji.
Ah, okay.
It's an abbreviated of Nuji Awewen, which is means healing in the language. So yeah, we got some kind of interesting thing. One of the things I wanted to say is that we're going to have a talking circle on Zoom, but it's open up to the entire community. It's going to be a community talking circle. And that's going to be on Thursday nights at 6 o'clock. And we'll kind of put that out there. Uh, when all that stuff happens, it'll be on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be on Nuji, Anishinabe Nuji, the the Facebook group, and then it will also be on Nuji Chat, Nooji Chat, which will be the Facebook Messenger chat site. So it'll be on all those, and it's just starting. We've just been doing this about a week now, putting it together. We got some things we're going to start sending out every day to people, kind of a daily thing to think about. Uh, if you're trying to get sober
Yeah.
from drugs and alcohol, just a few little pointers here and there, like and questions. So
Yeah. Hey, we got Theta online now. Are you
Okay.
there? Hey,
Hey.
glad you could join us. Sorry about the delay in getting this connected. We had a little miscommunication on our end, but glad you could join us on our live web stream. And I can see you, but Mary Ellen and Steve can't see you. So, but they'll hear you as you talk. Good evening. How are you?
Oh, okay. Sinodapi. That's my Blackfoot language. I'm just asking how you are. I'm actually doing really good. We have what you call a Arctic blast.
so do we.
So you must have sent it to us. That's what it was.
It comes from the west.
Yeah, they're saying negative 41 wind chill
Oh
Fahrenheit.
my.
And I drove into town. I'm actually at my mother's house. She was just feeding me pumpkin pie with whipped cream,
Oh, wow.
and she's
What a mama. Mhm.
cooking some deer steaks right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, so no, I'm just really happy to be here. Sobriety is a gift from God. So
Mm-hmm.
ask me anything. I some days I know some things, and some days I don't know anything.
Mhm.
Well, Mary Ellen, why don't you start by talking about how you met Theta and your conversations? I guess you were talking with her earlier this week, and what's happening with that.
Okay. Bushu, Theta, it's good to hear your voice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I met Theta, geez, must have been 30, 35 years ago,
Mm,
something like that. I used to go to training at this Indian training in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the first time I went, I saw 500 sober Indians. Never forget that.
wow.
Never forget that. And I was working on my license to practice AODA counseling,
Mm-hmm.
and I needed hours and things for that. So I used to go out there, and geez, it was beautiful. It was
Mm,
beautiful to hear all these professional Indian people getting up there talking about the things I needed,
mm,
to hear.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, Dave Vallo's program. It was great. And I even had Dave Vallo out here for the Anishinaabe Way those,
Ah.
in those years. Seems
Ah.
like a long time ago, but everything I heard from there I brought back here.
Mm,
And I used to practice those things in all my affairs. But really, we developed this program to help our people to understand alcohol and drug abuse and to understand their family members that are involved
mm-hmm.
in using and addiction, and because they're so they're suffering so much, as we did too, and So, the first step, the second step, that's real good to start, because we try to give as much information about alcohol and drugs as we can, and we bring the traditional way of life into it. And so that's, learning about, listening to how you started, and I know you've developed Gona,
Mm.
and did a lot of teachings, and went a lot of places to help others and to help the ones that are just beginning. So
Yeah.
if you could just talk about that, whatever comes to your mind.
Oh, sure. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to Mary Ellen, and I want to thank you, gentlemen, for just inviting me. Here we are in blizzards and wind chill below 40,
Yeah.
but we're just laughing, and we're interested in listening to each other. I remember meeting Mary Ellen, and it was a very whenever I see elders, and I remember her soft spirit and her demeanor, and I remember her giving me tobacco, and because once tobacco is out, it is just such a sacred, and we call it in Blackfoot, it's pastaskan. It's the highest offering you can give to Creator or to God. And I just remember her offering. So when someone gives you tobacco, you just do your darndest, or you do your best to either answer their request or listen to them, and so that you can pray properly. But I could start. One of the things, Mary Ellen, is I think that my recovery started when I was 12 years old. Uh,
Mm.
Mm.
because at that time, my beloved father, who's been gone for 21 years, was an active alcoholic. And we were us five children, and my mother, who's sitting in the other room, she's 84 years old, just she's screaming and yelling at a Warriors and Knicks game. so,
Oh man.
so I had to close the door because she researches all the players. So I came in here. I go, Mom, Mary Ellen's. I'm on a sober. So she's just like, go in the bedroom.
Shut the door. Uh-huh.
So so I remember just suffering, as a child, not understanding. I thought my father was being mean, and I loved him, and I couldn't understand that transformation of him being my loving father, and then once he would drink, he would turn into, being violent, and whipping us, and being just mean. And it was so at 12 years old, I just didn't quite. And when you're 12 years old, it's not understanding. I had this idea, and I think some teenagers have that sometimes when their parents are drinking and they're not themselves, is we retaliate.
Mhm.
And I, would physically try to fight him back, and I was, as a big kid. But I just remember I had these thoughts that I would just say, boy, I just wish he would die. I just wish he would die,
Mm.
and we wouldn't be suffering like this. And then the other half of me, my heart, I would just cry.
Mhm.
I would just cry because I love my father.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think that even today, with my work, and my work is a traditional practitioner, I listen to people's pain. And thank you for having the show, because we really need to listen to each other's hurt, and then walk through the hurt.
Mhm.
And I'm probably having tears now because during the holidays here, things are good, but I witness and I hear a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So when I was 12, one of the miracle that happened, and I'll just, you know share a little bit how that miracle happened. Was I had this best friend, her name was Casey Jones, and we slumbered at I would slumber at her house and she'd slumber at my house. We were like two peas in a pod stuck together. We just experienced everything. And I would and then her father had got sober,
Hmm.
and he would get her on some of the weekends. I mean, we just stuck together. And she said, well, my dad's gonna come get us. And I was just like, I would just invite myself, like, okay, I'll go with you.
Mm.
And when he picked us up, he said, well, you girls, I have to go into my meeting, and I want you to go to this Alateen meeting.
Oh.
And we didn't know what the heck that was. Like, what is that? And so, I was born in 1956. So, that's 12 years after 1956. And so that was the time when, so what happened was he went into his meeting and he goes, and I'll come back and get you. And so her and I went in, and evidently she had been to these meetings before, but she never talked about it. And when I went in there, you're a 12-year-old kid just feeling uncertain. But oh my gosh, every teenager that shared was telling my story. I mean, they were saying the exact same things that I was feeling. They were expressing their anger. And for a moment there, I just thought, they shouldn't be talking like that about their parents. I mean, I
Yeah.
was like this sick codependent, I was like, they better shut up. They better not be talking about their parents. They better
Mhm.
not be telling anybody what's going on. But I just sat there and I listened, and I listened, and I listened, and I got that, that overwhelming feeling when you're sitting in a meeting and you're exactly in the right place and you're supposed to be there.
Right. Yeah.
That I got that feeling. And then as I was listening to the stories, and I'll tell you, I got like scared. So part of me wanted to run out of the room, but part of me just thought, no, I better listen. I better listen. I better listen. And then another teenager would tell their story, and they started saying things like, the words I heard that just hit me in my heart was, they said that their parent had a disease, and that they didn't choose this disease, and that we didn't cause it, we can't cure it, and we can't control it. And so at that time, I almost it's hard to describe. It's like I understood. I
Mm.
understood. I understood, and I understood at a deep in my heart, a deep, almost like at a cellular level. I understood, and then I realized my father had a disease, and he didn't choose it, and that there was, and what they were saying was, that they were talking about ways that they coped, ways that they took care of themselves. And see, that was the other part that I didn't get till much later on, is that you're not supposed to rescue them, you're not supposed to persecute them, that you're supposed to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I laugh about it now, but I just, in my little 12-year-old mind, like a lot of us, when we have someone we love who is suffering, is we just want to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just wanted them to tell me how I could fix my father.
Hmm.
And then that was where my recovery began. And so we went back to those meetings, but then, at the same time, I was starting my own journey of early alcoholism. And that I was born in the era of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, eh?
Hmm.
And I was born and raised on this reservation that I'm here now, but our family had relocated to the Oakland, California and Berkeley, California area.
Hmm.
And so I already had at that age had lived through, you know, President Kennedy being shot in the second grade. I was living through the next year. All of our friends were going to take over Alcatraz Island.
Yeah.
You know,
Um,
there was I had already lived through Martin Luther King, you know, being shot, and then there was the Vietnam War. So I was it was you have to understand that, you know, we're always in the history.
Yeah.
And in the history at that time, the other blessing, the saving grace, is that my mother, because both my parents are boarding school survivors.
mm,
They both, my mother ran away when she was 9 years old with 11 other children in a blizzard. And they had taken away her, all of they take their shoes at night so they couldn't run away. But the children they worked during the day. So they had taken some galoshes, some rubbers, and they had 11 pair. And my mother knew how to, she ran away in a blizzard with them,
mm,
and she knew how to get to town, and they were able to hide and get to town. And from that incident, my mother, you know, didn't have to go back to boarding school. She got to go with her mother. But my father, he had a horrific time in boarding school because he couldn't speak English. And at the same time, he was raised, you know, remember, this is back before, you know, no one had a phone. No one, it was old time. We all, no one locked their doors. My dad hunted. You know, I just remember him going with David Lee Roundine and hunting for everybody on the south side near Hart Butte, and he'd have pack horses. And I remember him coming back, and he'd have hindquarters, you know, draped over the pack horses, and he'd go around and give all the elders meat. And but I also remember when he was leaving, this is like my dad's, like, he was born in 1937. He would sing hunting songs, you know, so you could see him going off in the distance with on horseback, and they were singing these beautiful hunting songs.
mm,
And so I was with my grandparents. I was with all four grandparents. I was around them, so I had the benefit of being raised by them. And my grandma was a bundle holder. She had a, a blue thunder teepee that now I understand it was an agaxtamon. It was a discipline. It was a forgiveness bundle. It helped people um, to reconcile disputes with prayers and with medicine. So, and my grandfather, he was born in 1900. They're not even quite sure. Grandpa Sam Newbreast, he was born when the berries were ripe. And then Awalski, my mom's mom, you know, she comes from the Bull Shoes. That's our last name. And she, you know, she comes from Cecile Bullshoe and Joseph Bullshoe. They had 17 live births, and 13 of
mm,
them lived. One was my mom's mom, my grandma. And then we had my grandpa, who is not native, and grandpa Cooper, he came from, and we traced it back. The coolest thing when you get sober is you can find out your real relatives.
Yeah.
And
mm.
we traced, I used to have a t-shirt that said, I'm part white and I can't prove it.
Yeah.
Don't know
So
what degree. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm just telling you, so this is, I came from a family, and it's important to know when you're working with Indians, our
Mhm.
people, is we did not have an experience with alcohol until it became legal in the state
Mhm.
in
Mm.
1953.
Mm.
So I had a grandfather who never drank alcohol until he was 53 years old. I'm saying this in the context because when you get sober, one of the things, and that's why Mary Ellen and I have remained friends for so long, is that I think we both work on the continual healing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so it's alongside taking the culture alongside the beautiful 12-step program and meetings and therapy and talking circles and getting your Indian name and knowing your cultural identity and dealing with the harsh realities of things that make us relapse, like sexual assault, like rape, like all of the deep wounds in our heart. I think that we have to say them and we have to speak them because those are the things that we have to continually heal to stay sober.
Right.
And so that's kind of where I started. Then I as I say, I came in through the back door because I just thought I was a sick codependent, which I still am a codependent, but my alcoholism didn't blare up until I was in my late 20s and my early 30s, and then I was my another blessing. I have so many. They're all blessings.
Mm.
My family intervened on me because we lived in California, and I got to go to treatment at the Betty Ford Center.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my my mother and by that time, mom was running a treatment program for Native women and their children.
Mm.
And it was just, I mean, so I grew up in treatment. Mom was always a social worker. She helped write Indian Child Welfare Act. She helped contribute to Indian Religious Freedom Act of 1978. She, the longest walk was in 1978. So I guess I grew up in the movements.
Mm.
We grew up with Wilma Mankiller was my auntie. Um, we grew up with the real Black Panthers.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
We
Mm.
grew up with Cesar Chavez. We grew up in a time of and we're going through that again of tremendous social change. And so the other fortunate thing is that I went to Betty Ford Center, but as all part of our alcoholism, my alcoholism is and before I went to treatment, I would say I would relapse often.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I laugh because it would be like, I would white knuckle it and struggle and sometimes almost make a year. And right when the holidays would come, that's why this program is so important. Is right when the holidays comes, it's the time that we really need to hear other people's stories.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's the time when we have to open our heart and be rigorously honest. It's the time when we have to really have faith. And I remember going all year, and right when the holidays would come, I would start drinking again.
Mm.
And I'm reminded today, because like I have no desire at this moment in time to drink, but I when I relapsed, I went in, and this was important for my recovery because I'm a Native woman and because I am a woman, is I went into a longer term program for just women.
Mm.
And that's what I needed. It needed to not be co-ed. It needed to be where I was with other women because it was about my wounded heart as a woman of color, my wounded heart as what I had witnessed in my family of what alcohol was doing among my parents. And I had to do some of that healing and to learn those coping, I had to learn, detachment. I had to learn handling my character defects. I had to learn that it was possible to let some stuff go.
Mhm.
Mhm.
you know I had to learn that you could forgive people, and then the hardest part is I had to learn that I could forgive myself.
Right.
Yeah.
That was rough. That was the toughest one, is especially during, forgive yourself. Well, I just think about it now, because I was just sitting with, a peaceful evening, that serenity. I'll just say I have serenity most of the time. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like, and I was just thinking to myself, and I go, yeah, mom. I said, you know what? Yeah, I had to get plowed. Yeah, it was way below zero. Yeah, I had to take all the snow off the vehicle. Yeah, I had to drive on the icy roads. Yeah, and then I said, Mom, that doesn't even bother me, because right now I think I'm safe.
Mhm.
I think it's too bad to be up. And that's how, in our language, was just surrounding me and covering me with protection. And
Mhm.
I knew I was going to make it into town, and I wasn't going fast. And the people I saw some people stuck. I just pray for them, and I saw that help was coming. It's like trusting. I think the longer we're sober, it's an unusual phenomena. You just trust God.
Mhm.
And when you trust God, then you don't have to be scared.
Mhm.
If you trust God, there's nothing to fear, right?
Yeah.
That's what sobriety has brought to me, and just to find the joy in life. I think, one of the things that, during this pandemic, I think sobriety, I'd always put these positive affirmations, our regular one day at a time, don't overthink it, letting things go. But this other positive affirmation that I looked at every day in my office was, it's my birthright to thrive and have joy. It is my
Mm.
birthright.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And I really believe that the longer we're sober, and the longer, we can put those chapters, those toxic or those painful chapters behind us, there's you get that. And I think that's why I just laugh at things. I laugh at myself. I mean, because I didn't know, Marielle, what I was like trying to connect tonight, and I was going, okay, creator, I'm sending messages. And then all of a sudden I look down, and it goes, oh, well, we're gonna send you a link.
Uh,
So I run into the bathroom, and I go, boy, my hair sure is shaggy, but I look okay.
yeah. Yeah.
I would have,
Uh,
I would have, you know, and when you're sober, I think, well, yeah, I could have duded it up a little bit better or gotten better. And I thought, no, I'm just who I am, and I'm
yeah.
just going to speak the truth,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna, have a conversation with my friends, and then we're all gonna have a blessing tonight.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We're all gonna be peaceful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're all going to sleep good. We're all going to remember our dreams.
Mm.
And, just that simple, that contentment.
Mhm.
And so that's some of my story, and then since I went to those two programs, put me on this road, and I've been clean and sober since then.
Wow.
And, and
Quick reminder, our listeners on the radio that can't see our conversation here. You are listening to the program Anishinaabe Sober Voices, and we have Theta Newbreast as our guest, Montana Blackfeet. and glad you could join us tonight. Tell us a little bit more about what's happening today in your life and your efforts for sobriety and teaching others.
Well, in the promises on page 83 in the big book is that you'll be amazed.
Mhm.
So one of the things I could share with you right now is this year, in 2022, being sober, just doing the work and doing the healing, and is as the pandemic started, our I work with Native Wellness Institute, and all of us are like in recovery, our team. And so in March of 2020, we lost all of our income, all of our contracts were canceled. And so it's like a God thing, then we didn't even pay attention to that. We just said, we got to help the people.
Yeah.
So we started going on Facebook Live and something called the Power Hour, and 7 days a week, and then 5 days a week. And well, because of that, what a phenomenal amazement thing that just happened this year is the series on Hulu called the Reservation Dogs
Yeah.
series. Sterling, the director, and Tasba Garcia, the female director, had seen me on the Power Hour. They had seen me doing the shows and saw one of the shows I did on critical race theory. And those shows are all to help and uplift people. So for our listeners, it's free, and it's on YouTube, and you just type in Native Wellness Institute, and we're on our 137th week
Wow.
of providing. But what happened as a result of that is the directors of the Reservation Dogs had seen a couple of my power hours, and one on critical race theory and one on just all on healing and sobriety. And so they sought me out. They were chasing me around, and they found me in April, and they asked for an audition. I did the audition, and I got the part.
Wow.
And so it's a small part, but it's what I realized, in that industry, it's a different industry, but because I'm sober and I have most days clarity, I I was playing a character known as Priscilla. And Priscilla is the badass auntie to these other four native aunties, because these are all Indian people, all Indian producers. And they have a real funny line in there. It's they said, like, yeah, white people go to Cancun, but Indians go to IHS conferences.
Oh, dear.
because a lot of our people were what would you say, middle class Indians, or they have a job, and so a big part of the fringe benefit is you get to go to conferences. And
Yep.
so anyway,
So
so
you
I got
develop them.
yeah, I got the part, and so I just wanted to share that with you. And I don't think that would have happened if I weren't sober. And it's just like now when I'm on this show, but when when I went up to Canada, and they were people would stand in line to take a picture with me, and I'll say that because one of the things I was just thinking to myself is I sobriety will lead me through this, whatever. That's not my goal to be an actress, but what it did, and Mary Ellen, this is the beautiful part, is the character I play is a badass auntie that has healthy sexuality booth at the IHS conference. But it's all comedy. And so they get all dressed up, and they're just coming to the IHS conference, and they come to my booth. And my opening line is, "Oh, here we have crystal dildos that will help you with spiritually transmitted diseases." and then and then I talk to them and I ask, "Do you have kids? Do you have a kid?" And then the ones who had kids, I give them some these eggs so that they could tighten up their Kegel muscles. Like it's all humor. And then the thing is I'm the auntie also gives them paper bags of like smudge medicine, and just telling them that they got to keep themselves sacred. So I'm telling you what's on the show. I mean, I'm sure you can. It's season 2, episode 5, and it's all yeah. The 4 aunties want to keep themselves sacred, and they go back to their hotel room and they make a smudge with the medicine, and they smudge all of their bodies, including their vaginas. Like smudge, they're not with their clothes on, so that they can keep themselves sacred. And it's all around humor. But what has happened, the amazing thing is, and Mary Ellen knows this, in my clinical work, I work with all people who want to stay sober and all people who want to heal from if they've been sexually assaulted or they've been raped.
Mm.
And what it has done is it's elevated the dialogue in the talking circles. It has elevated the dialogue in 12-step meetings, at our healing gatherings. And so everybody, and this is Mary Ellen, you like this one. There's a group of elders and they're in the Northern California, and they're all 55 and older, and they wanted me to come and speak. And so I said, well, you have to get prepared. If I'm going to come and speak, it's healthy sexuality. So I think as humor, and they were saying, when we're 55 and older, we still have sex. I go, I know you do. That's why we have to talk about healthy sexuality. And so I asked them, I said, okay, well, when I come, every participant, you have to have a snag bag. And they're going, a snag bag? What's in a snag bag? So I go, you have to have some condoms, you have to have some lubricant, water based, you have to have some chewing gum, you have to have toothpaste, and you have to get ready to snag. So you have to be smelling good and prepared. So this is what the elders, they said, they were messaging me, and they go, we're a bunch of old ladies and we went to the Walgreens, and you should have seen them when we asked the pharmacist for 100 tubes of KY jelly. So
Dear.
anyway, they got these nice, beautiful bags, and they got them all together, and that's like an example. It's just been fun. So the other stuff that of amazement, like just happened today, is I paid off another vehicle. And when you pay it off and you make all those payments for all those months, and they give you the lien, and when I saw it, and so now I officially own my truck. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, 1, 2, 3, this is the third vehicle that I paid off. I
Wow.
mean,
Mm.
that's that's what sobriety brings you, right?
Right.
Yep.
And yeah, and then other amazement, I'm trying to wrap up the invoices for the end of the year, and I was stacking all my receipts today, and I was sitting there, and there was some hours, and I said to myself, man, I'm really glad I kind of have a clear head, and then I'm being responsible. you know
Yeah.
like I'm being responsible. And I was just and because I remember about 20 years ago I got audited by IRS,
Mm-hmm.
and for a year and a half I had to show them receipts, and I had all that stuff.
Yeah.
And anyway, long story short is, I went through that audit because I was sober
Mm-hmm.
and I was honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's see, other than that, life is good. Life is really good.
So now you created a documentary, Why the Women in My Family Don't Drink Whiskey. What's that about?
Oh my gosh, that was here on this reservation. There's 38 tribal colleges, and we have the Blackfeet Community College.
Mm-hmm.
And in the college's effort, we decided to bring in these hut shots at that time who would teach us to make a film about our life. And the college, we invited men and women, and the college said, Theta, would you come over, because your tribe is a really tough nut to crack.
Hmm.
We need someone who can speak honestly. So we had 2 days of talking circles. And anyway, long story short is I decided to make a story about my family. So I had pictures, and I decided to call it Why the Women in My Family Don't Drink Whiskey. And the film, it won Best Documentary at one Red Nations Film Festival. And see, that's another God thing, is I just made it on my MacBook Pro.
Oh.
And it was submitted, and I won like like an Oscar, like an Indian
Mhm.
statuette for. But all it was the story of when my family didn't drink whiskey and why they don't drink whiskey, and currently what we do. It was just photos of us and dancing and powwow, being in ceremony, and then I had my ancestors, from like around the 1900s, and
Yeah.
how majestic they were. Anyway, that's one of and that's also free. You see, that's the thing, is Mary Ellen, is like one of the things is, I think when you're sober, I'm not at, like I pay my bills and stuff, but I'm not in it for the advancement, or
Mhm.
so that is also free on YouTube.
You think
uh,
we could show that real quick? You think
hey,
we could show
go
that?
for it. Let's go for
Yeah,
it.
we can do that. Hold on a minute here. Let me hit play on this.
In Digidreams. Can the volume?
Yeah,
Can you hear the volume?
it's loud on our end. Maybe nothing.
That's my grandma, my grandpa. My uncle, great uncle, my grandma, my great uncle, his wife, Julia. That's me, baby in the middle. Our genealogy. Them hunting. our Sundance. That's my great aunt.
Wow.
And there I am. That's my grandma, some of her children. 1922. In a lodge or teepee. Awatsky, grandpa. As they aged. And there's my grandma and her sisters. My grandma. There's my mom on the right. Grandma, my aunties. Those are my cousins. We all look alike. Oh, beautiful. Oh, Marisha. There's me. Little fat Indian baby.
Mm.
There I am. Yeah. My mother.
Mm.
Hmm.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
Very cool.
Good.
Thank you.
Your
Thank
voice is so clear. You can feel your heart.
so
You
thank
hear your heart. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, Theta, this is Steve Perry. I'm here with Mary Ellen and Mark. One of the questions I've been working with programs off and on for many years, and I've been doing some things here at LCO with alcohol and drug abuse over the years. And one of the things that I like people to tell people that are either going into recovery or in recovery is how important it is to work the programs. And that, there's a lot of dry drunks out there who just quit drinking, but how important it is for people to work the programs.
You know, I just I think it's like a grace of God. You know, those first three steps are I can't, he can, so let him. You know, that surrendering. And I have to say, you know, ever since I guess like went to AA meetings before I admitted, and I still go to AA meetings now. I mean, I started my day off this morning at 7:30 a.m. listening to an AA talk from Native Dads Network. My home group here is called the Grizzly Cub. I also I in lieu of um being with you tonight, there's we have a Blackfoot AA group, and they're all in Alberta, and I'm the one down in the United States. We get on every Tuesday night from 8 till 9:30. It's meetings, and and Mary Ellen knows. Mary Ellen. It's interesting. Wanda and Harold Frog, who are from Lacoudere.
Mhm.
Wanda and Harold Frog, started intervening on me. I would say like 1979.
Yeah,
Mm. Wow.
me
Because
too.
they were my heroes.
Me too. Mine too.
Yeah. So Wanda and Harold Frog were instrumental. They're gone now, but I mean, just even their stories. They met at an AA meeting, and so and my aunt Melinda, which she would just tell me things like, all you have to do is not drink and keep going to meetings.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
So I followed those rules, and much more, but it's a simple program. And even during this pandemic, I was I mean, yeah, I was just telling everyone all you have to do is live one day at a time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Sometimes
amazing.
1 minute.
It's amazing.
Exactly. I said you just got to live one day at a time, and then you get to sleep. You know.
Mhm.
Sleep good.
Yeah, so I think, for those of you listening out there, is I can tell you this, I know for sure. If they say stay in the middle of the herd and stick with the program, and little by little, you'll develop your sober friends, and they'll be the grace, they'll be the fellowship, they'll be your family of choice that will just guide you through and bring that goodness in your life. So I guess I have to thank you guys. I want to thank you, and I give great gratitude for you asking me to speak tonight.
Well,
Mm.
thank you,
Yeah,
miigwech. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I just
Uh,
want a few minutes left here. I do want to let people know where they can find out more information about you, Theta. If they go to your website, nativewellness.com, is that right?
yes, nativewellness.com, and we also have a Native Wellness Institute Facebook page,
Okay.
and everything's free on there. You can, in fact, tomorrow, my sister Lori, who's got the longest recovery, will be the speaker on the Wellness Wednesday. But also we're Mary Ellen, this is the cool thing is, we're allying with White Bison, and Native Dads Network, also
Mm.
brothers, and Al Pooley's group and Native Wellness Institute were starting to have healing conferences, and to coordinate with each other and not be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And our next one is going to be in Mesa, Arizona. Al Pooley's sponsoring it. He does the Sacred Fatherhood and Sacred Motherhood.
right. Yeah, I've worked with Al before.
Yeah, Al. So Al
Yeah.
is just a graceful person, and so that's you can come to our healing. It's going to be in Mesa, California in February.
Wow.
And so that, and then you can always I have a Instagram, and I'm always at 5,000 on Facebook. I always tell people, send me a message. I don't like voyeurs, but I like people who could like to converse about healing and sobriety.
Mm.
Yeah.
I have 5,000 sober friends, and
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
international, all my friends from, Australia, and all my friends from New Zealand, and all my friends from Canada. That's the
Mm.
beauty, is the sobriety is there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, miigwech for uh, being with us tonight. I just wanted to let other people know here locally, you can get some help if you want. Call Mary Ellen Baker at 715-634-5806, or Steve. He's available at 231-357-6191 if you want to know more about sober living here in the Lacoudere area. We'd be glad to talk to you about that. Mary Ellen, any final farewells for? Oh, she
Oh,
left. Uh-oh.
oh, okay.
Oh, now she's back. Okay.
Okay, Thea, thank you, Miigwech, so much. And I'm still working on that program I was talking to you about the Alcathon.
Yes. Yes.
I haven't forgot, and I'll be contacting you.
Ah, beautiful. Well, gentlemen and gentlewomen, I'll just have to say Kitaki Tomatsuno. That means I'll see you later.
Yeah, Mama
Yeah.
Pigo Abament.
Ah,
Love you.
All right.
yeah.
Take care.
Miigwech.
Thank you.
Miigwech, thanks.
All right. You've been listening to Anishinaabe Sober Voices here on WOJB 88.9.
LCO
Mr. Thomas Kane is up
WOJB
next with
Drum Song
Drum
Edition
Song.
88.9 FM.